Have you ever sat in a quiet room, looked out the window, and asked yourself, is this all there is now? Maybe the days feel longer than they used to, or the things that once brought joy just don't light you up the same way anymore. You've spent years, maybe decades, caring for others, working hard, being the glue that held everything together. But now, when there's finally time for you, something feels missing. If you've had those thoughts or even just a quiet ache in your heart for something more, I want you to know, you're not alone. And more importantly, it's not too late. In fact, this moment, right now, might just be the perfect time to rediscover what makes you feel alive. You see, after 65, a lot of things begin to change. And not just physically. The way we think about time, meaning, and even our place in the world starts to shift. But what if I told you that this chapter of life, often seen as slowing down, could actually be the start of something incredibly fulfilling? You've lived a full life already, yes. But that doesn't mean the best parts are behind you. In fact, they might be waiting just around the corner, patiently, quietly, asking you to come find them. In today's video, we're going to talk about 5 heartfelt, real reasons why rediscovering your passions after 65 isn't just possible, it's powerful. It's something that can bring color back to your days, connection back to your spirit, and even health back to your body and mind. These aren't abstract ideas. They're things you can feel, experience, choose. And if you love topics like this, health, psychology, and living a meaningful life after 60, then please give this video a like, share it with someone you care about, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'm on a journey to reach 1,000 subscribers so I can keep creating more of this warm, thoughtful content for our growing community. I'd love for you to be part of it. Now, let's talk about the first reason. And this one is deeply personal for many of us. It's about reclaiming something that may have been lost over time, not through anyone's fault, just through life's many responsibilities. The first reason to rediscover your passions after 65 is simple but life-changing, because you finally have permission to live for yourself. Think about how many years you spent putting others first. Children, partners, careers, friends. There's a beautiful nobility in that. It shows love, strength, and sacrifice. But somewhere in all of that, your own passions may have been put on a shelf. Maybe you loved painting when you were younger, or writing poems, or planting flowers, or dancing to music in the kitchen when no one was looking. Maybe you loved fixing old radios, or collecting postcards, or sitting with a cup of tea and reading about faraway places. And maybe you told yourself, I'll get back to that one day. Well, my friend, one day has arrived. There's something incredibly freeing that happens around this age. Expectations start to loosen. There's no more pressure to prove anything to anyone. And when you start reconnecting with those old loves, or discovering entirely new ones, you tap into a part of yourself that was always there, just waiting. It's not about being the best at something. It's not about achievements or applause. It's about the way your heart feels when you're doing something just because you want to. Just because it brings you joy. A woman I know named Claire, 72 years old, recently picked up watercolors again after nearly 40 years. She hadn't painted since her children were little, and even then, it was mostly on scraps of paper during nap time. But now, every Thursday afternoon, she sets up her little station by the window, paints for an hour or two, and swears she feels younger when she does. Not because she's chasing youth, but because she's connecting with a part of herself that never grew old. That part of you still lives inside you, too. Now let's move gently into the second reason. And it's one that might surprise you. Rediscovering your passions doesn't just bring emotional joy, it can actually bring vitality back into your body and mind. There's something about doing things that make us feel alive, whether it's gardening, learning a new instrument, or joining a local choir, that has a real, tangible effect on our health. Studies have shown that when older adults engage in meaningful activities, especially creative or expressive ones, they experience lower rates of depression, better memory function, and even improved physical health. Isn't that beautiful? Passion isn't just for the soul. It nourishes the whole self. A man I met recently named Joe, age 68, started learning to play the harmonica during the pandemic. It was something he always wanted to do as a boy, but life got busy and he never quite found the time. Now, he practices every evening for 20 minutes before bed. And he says it's become the most peaceful part of his day. He sleeps better. Feels calmer. And he's even made a few new friends online who share his interest. He doesn't plan to be on stage. He just loves the way it makes him feel. You don't have to travel far or spend much. Sometimes, rediscovering passion can be as simple as signing up for a pottery class at the community center, joining a local book club, or even volunteering at a place that touches your heart. What matters is how it feels. The smile that comes from within. The little spark that lights up when you talk about it. I often say, passion is like sunlight, it makes everything it touches grow. And when it touches you, you start to feel more engaged with life again. You find yourself smiling more. Moving more. Looking forward to your days. That kind of energy isn't something you can fake. It grows from inside, one small joyful moment at a time. Now that we've gently uncovered these first two reasons, living for yourself, and feeling truly alive again, let's keep moving deeper into this beautiful journey together. There's something very special about this time of life. People often think it's the end of the road for big changes or personal growth, but I see it differently. I think after 65, we're finally in a place to grow without pressure. To create without deadlines. To explore without needing a reason. And that brings us to another beautiful reason to rediscover your passions now, because your story still matters, and passion is how you keep writing it. You might not always feel it, especially if the days have started to blend together, or if people don't call as often as they used to. But your voice, your experiences, your presence, they are deeply meaningful. Passions give you a way to express that. Whether it's through photography, writing your memories in a journal, learning to play your favorite song on the piano, or even telling stories to your grandkids, these are all ways of continuing to shape the life you're living. Your story didn't end when you retired. It didn't end when the house got quiet. It's still unfolding, with every morning you wake up and choose to care about something. There's a man named David, 75, who lives just down the road from me. He started taking nature walks every morning with a little notebook in hand. Nothing fancy. Just short walks around the park. And every time he saw something that sparked wonder, a bird resting on a wire, a child laughing, the way the sun hit a puddle, he'd jot down a sentence. A few months later, he had filled 3 notebooks. Then, without really planning to, he started reading them out loud at a local open mic night. Now people come just to hear him speak. All because he followed a quiet interest. That's the power of passion, it keeps your voice alive in the world, even when you don't think anyone's listening. It's never too late to contribute something of beauty to this world. Even if it's just for yourself. Especially if it's just for yourself. Now, let's ease into the 4th reason, something that many people overlook, but once you realize it, it changes everything. Rediscovering your passions helps you reconnect, with people, with your community, and sometimes even with yourself in ways you never expected. Sometimes, we don't even notice how isolated we've become. Life just moves in that direction. People move away. Friends pass on. Routines get quieter. And over time, without meaning to, we start to drift inward. That's not always a bad thing. Solitude can be healing. But connection, true, warm, shared connection, can bring a kind of joy that nothing else does. When you engage in something you love, especially something you share with others, doors start to open again. You might meet someone in a painting class who shares your sense of humor. Or a group at the local library who's just as passionate about Civil War history as you are. Or maybe you join a walking group and end up forming a friendship that becomes the highlight of your week. Passion brings people together, not through small talk or forced conversations, but through shared joy. I remember meeting a woman named Teresa at a small memoir writing workshop. She was shy, said she'd never really shared much of herself before. But then, when she read a short story about her childhood dog, her whole face lit up. We laughed, we cried, and afterward, 3 people came up to hug her. She said it was the first time in years that she felt truly seen. That's what happens when you follow your passion, it draws others toward the light you carry inside. Even if you're someone who enjoys being alone most of the time, rediscovering your passions can still deepen your connection with yourself. You begin to notice what makes you smile again. You become curious about your own interests, in a way that feels fresh. You stop moving through life on autopilot, and you start choosing how you spend your moments. That awareness alone can feel like coming home. And the beauty is, it doesn't have to be big or bold or expensive. You don't need to climb mountains or fly across the world, unless you want to, of course. Sometimes, it's the small, consistent acts that bring the most peace. A neighbor of mine, Richard, started baking again after a 40-year break. He said there was something so grounding about measuring flour, kneading dough, waiting for the oven to warm up. And every Friday, he brings over a loaf of banana bread, just because it makes him happy to share it. That, to me, is passion in its purest form. And here's something else to remember, you are allowed to try things, and not be good at them. You are allowed to start new things, stop them, and try something else. There is no pressure, no performance, no race. Passion is not about being perfect. It's about being present. That's the gift you get to give yourself now. Permission to explore, without fear of judgment or failure. This is your time. You've earned it, not just through the years you've lived, but through the wisdom and grace you carry with you now. Your heart is still full of potential. And every day is a blank page waiting to be filled with something that matters to you. Let's keep walking this path together, because something beautiful is still unfolding. There's a quiet kind of joy that comes from doing something just because it matters to you. Not because you're being paid, or because someone told you to, or because it's expected. But simply because it makes your heart feel alive. That leads us to something that might surprise you, yet it's one of the most meaningful reasons of all. Rediscovering your passion brings healing. It soothes old wounds and reminds you that joy is still possible. You see, over the course of a lifetime, we carry so much, responsibilities, heartbreak, disappointments, maybe even regrets. Some of those memories soften with time. Others stay quietly tucked away, still heavy on the heart. But passion has a beautiful way of reaching those quiet places. It doesn't always fix everything, but it helps. It creates space for joy where grief used to live. It invites light back in through cracks you thought would stay closed forever. There was a woman named Elsie I met through a mutual friend. She lost her husband 5 years ago after more than 4 decades together. For a long time, she said, she felt like she was just passing the days. She did what needed to be done, but nothing stirred her. Then one day, she found a small tin of old buttons from her mother's sewing kit. It sparked a memory, and something inside her lit up. She started making small fabric collages, using scraps of old clothing and vintage finds. Then she turned them into greeting cards, then tiny framed art. And while she worked, she cried. She smiled. She remembered. And little by little, she started to feel herself return. That's what passion can do. It gives your emotions a safe place to rest. A space to be felt, without having to explain them. Whether it's art, gardening, singing, dancing alone in your kitchen, restoring old furniture, whatever speaks to your spirit, follow it. You don't need to justify your joy. In fact, the older we get, the more we deserve to claim it. And here's something else I deeply believe, joy is not a luxury. It's a form of health. Of survival. Passion strengthens your mind, your memory, your creativity. It engages your senses. It keeps your brain curious, your heart open, your hands moving. It slows down time in the best possible way, not by making you younger, but by making you more present. That's a kind of youthfulness that can't be faked. It radiates from within. It doesn't matter if your knees creak or you forget names from time to time. When you're lit up by something meaningful, people notice. You carry a spark, and that spark is contagious. So if you've been waiting for a sign to begin again, this is it. Not because you need to be productive. Not because there's some goal to reach. But because you're still here. You're still breathing. And that means there's still beauty left to discover. I know some of you may be thinking, but what if I don't know what my passion is anymore? What if it's been too long? Please don't let that stop you. You don't have to know yet. You just have to be open. Curiosity is the doorway. Start with something simple. Borrow a book from the library on something you used to love. Spend an hour at a museum. Watch a documentary that stirs your interest. Try knitting again, or sketching in the margins of your notebook. Maybe you always wanted to learn another language, or try watercolors, or join a local choir. The smallest step forward is still a beginning. There's a quiet kind of power in choosing to live for yourself, especially after a lifetime of living for others. And let me be clear, living for yourself doesn't mean being selfish. It means honoring your soul. Listening to your inner voice. Giving your own well-being the attention it's always deserved. I remember a neighbor, Tom, who spent 40 years running a small business. After retirement, he said he didn't know what to do with himself. He missed being useful. Then, on a whim, he started making birdhouses. He carved, painted, and installed them around the neighborhood. Each one had its own little flair. People started noticing. Smiling. Thanking him. And he told me, I didn't know how much I needed this until I started. I'm building something again, not just with wood, but with purpose. And that, I think, is what we're really talking about. Purpose. Not the kind that weighs you down or keeps you busy all day. The kind that feels like sunshine on your skin. Quiet. Steady. Reassuring. It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be yours. So here's what I want to leave you with today. No matter how old you are, no matter how far you feel from your younger self, your passions are still waiting for you. Not behind you, in front of you. And it's not too late. In fact, it might be just the right time. Start small. Start gently. Be kind to yourself in the process. And most of all, allow yourself to feel excited again. Let your hands get messy. Let your eyes light up. Let your spirit dance in the way only you can. You are not finished. You are evolving. Growing in a new direction. And the world still needs the colors only you can bring. If you found something meaningful in today's video, I would love to hear your thoughts. What's one small passion you've always wanted to return to, or try for the first time? Leave a comment and share it with us. Let this be a space where we support each other. And if this kind of gentle inspiration brings you peace, please give the video a like, share it with a friend who might need a reminder like this, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm on a journey to reach 1,000 subscribers so we can keep building this little community of kindness and healing together. You deserve to live your best life, at any age. And rediscovering your passions might just be the most beautiful way to begin again.